going to look at Disabled, stanza 4. So this week we've been going through the poem stanza at a time, and today we're going to be focusing our attention on stanza 4. So today's word of the day, we have a little word in a war theme this week. Valiant, which is an adjective, which basically is another word for brave or courageous. So for example, the valiant soldier won a medal for saving a man's life. And the spelling word of the day, again with the war theme to go with the spelling bee that's next Wednesday, is discipline. Alright, so part of being a soldier is to follow discipline. Today's pun of the day, you know, I like a cheesy pun here. So, why don't you want to tackle bar it? Tackle bar it? Because I'm not your friend anymore. Nacho. Anyway, I've just got a joke on that respect. Why did the Mexican push his wife off a cliff? Tequila! Moving on. Disabled by Wilfred Owen. So, stanza 4. One time he liked a blood smear down his leg after the matches, carried shoulder high. It was after football, when he'd drunk a peg, he thought he'd better join. He wonders why. Someone had said he'd look a god in kilts. Okay, so revising the questions that I've posted on the Aim Higher page. Obviously, if you have got them and you want to go over your answers, that's fine. If not, then this will just be a revision exercise and help you with your analysis of this poem. So discuss the contrast the soldier goes on to describe when remembering blood in his earlier life. So we've literally just come from the battlefield where he's talking about the blood spurting and the purple and everything like that. Then it moves on quickly to one time he liked a blood smear down his leg. So the reference to time again, which is a major theme throughout the poem, and there's obviously contrast with past and present all the way through. So one time, so that again takes us back to the past. So this is talking about his former glory. So he actually quite enjoyed having an injury, you know, he kind of show off like a child or a young person would do. You know, it was a bit of a bravado thing. So at this sports match that he was proud of having this blood smear down his leg, and obviously ironically the mention of the leg again just after the blood spurting from his thigh. So in his innocent sort of naive youth and young age, he actually enjoyed the attention that this injury gave him, which is obviously ironic. There's a lot of irony going on here because there's a major blood loss of the previous description, you know, with the blood spurting, and now we've got this trickle of blood going down his leg. So we've got a major injury versus this minor injury through sport. So at that point, you know, a sporting injury, especially for a young man, it sort of symbolises his masculinity. You know, he imagines it as some sort of trophy. But now, in contrast, he's very much ashamed of his injuries. You know, they're life-changing now. Another point of irony at this point in the poem is that he's carried in the match. It talks about after the match he's been carried shoulder high. So obviously, like, he's idolised, he's seen as a hero, they're carrying up, you know, like man of the match sort of idea. So he's enjoying this glory and the attention of his teammates. So the irony is now that he's no longer given any attention. So this is obviously Owen's idea that war heroes should have been, you know, seen as a hero when people came back, but it was very much opposite. So he was idolised and adored when he was playing football, but ironically he's no longer viewed as a hero, despite doing something that others would say is much more honourable and worthy of that attention. You know, now he's being ignored. So going back to the first stanza where it talks about how he's treated like a queer disease, so he's no longer admired. In fact, he's certainly been rejected by society and he's now ostracised and alone. So that's obviously Owen mocking that idea, and he's quite bitter and condemns that idea. There's other irony here as well, the fact that he's been carried shoulder high, because on the battlefield, remember the previous stanza described him having to wait to be helped off the battlefield while he lay injured, but now, you know, at that point the medics would run on and carry him off. So there's idea, and obviously just like the picture there, a lot of time they ran out of stretchers, so they literally had you on people's shoulders which links back to this idea. But at that point, he was up here, you know, being man of the match, and now he's over somebody's shoulder being carried off to save his life, sort of thing. And if you think about it as well, he's now going to have to be carried for the rest of his life because he's incapable of doing that himself and supporting himself. So there's where the irony lies. Then the next line is, it was after football when he'd drunk a peg. So this is the first, no, before that we just knew it was a match, we weren't sure what sport, but now we realise it is football that he was describing from his previous life. He enjoyed, you know, being an athlete and enjoyed the sport and being active, which is even sadder now he can't. So it was after football. You can actually imagine somebody telling a story to someone else, you know, it was after. So it sounds like he's actually relaying a story to us, you know, about his past life, almost like, you know, this is a storytelling situation. Drunk a peg. So a peg is a type of alcoholic spirit, you know, like a shot. So based on the victory of the match, you know, all the guys would go out after it for a few drinks, very much like it is now. So at that point, being victorious and having the adrenaline rushing through him and that high of being, you know, the winning the match and the man of the match would be mixed with the alcohol, so it's like a lethal combination. So that obviously starts off the reason why he enlisted. It was after a match when he'd drunk a peg that he'd decided to join up. So that kind of suggests to us that it was an impulsive, irrational and irresponsible decision. You know, he's thinking back now on why he did it. Alcohol, as well as you know, a combination of that with the propaganda posters at the time, like the ones there, would depict war as being positive. You know, the idea that your country needs you, which was certainly true, but it was almost like it was being glorified. And these young naive boys just out of school, some were still at school, you know, they were naive, easily influenced, especially if they were under the influence of other things like alcohol. So a lot of them would have seen it as just a bit of an adventure, chance to see the world sort of thing, which is obviously a misjudgment. He thought he'd better join, he wonders why. So we've got past and present tense used here. He thought and then wonders. So there's a contrast again in the tenses. The short sentences, the two of them together, emphasise the speed and impulsiveness of his decision. So he didn't think it through, which is obviously very much what a lot of young people are like. You know, you make sort of impulsive, rash decisions. It's just that being young and carefree, isn't it? There's a dash, and it's in a strange place here because you have a full stop as well. So the dash is an extended pause. So this sort of suggests that this is the soldier reflecting back now on thinking, why did I do such a stupid thing? You know, so this is his chance. This is just, the punctuation shows that this is now the transformation from past to present, because we're back thinking, why on earth did I do that to myself? So now he realises, in hindsight, that it was a decision that would obviously destroy his life. So now he's questioning why on earth he did it. The ellipsis after why, so he wonders why. So we've left again with a pause. So that shows that there's a sort of falter. He's hesitating there as he's thinking back, and he can't actually, he's unable to think of a solid, decent enough explanation for enlisting. You've also got the alliteration of wonders why. So again, that focuses on this reflection, and the word why is obviously a question, which suggests that he's now realising the mistake that he made, and he can't quite believe that he did it. He can't think of a genuine reason. Okay, next question. At the end of this stanza, what reason does he give for enlisting in the army? So he talks about, so at this point we get 2 or 3 different reasons. He's going to go through various reasons. They all have something in common. The reasons are all motivated by glory and vanity, unfortunately. So just like the football match, when he enjoyed being man of the match, he thought that by joining up and wearing a uniform that he'd be seen as a hero, and basically it was an idea of a sort of ego boost and a chance to show his masculinity. He'd look a god in kilts, so that's obviously why he joins. Someone said that he would look like that. So the metaphor, the idea of him being a god, just supports the idea that he would be worshipped and adored by everybody around him like a god, and by joining up. So this sort of suggests that He's quite vain and arrogant again, you know, that can sometimes come with being young and handsome. So he didn't really enlist for valid patriotic reasons. It wasn't to support his country of sorts. It was just because he thought that it would attract women and things like that and make people sort of want to be around him. So that just sort of shows that naivety. He had a romanticised view of war, which was the same for a lot of young men. You know, they didn't realise the actual truth. Okay, so in summary, stanza 4, like the previous two, it starts off by describing his pre-war life, so the idea of him being young and active and on the football pitch and being young and adored. And then we've got a sense of reflection in the present, so that's the soldier now looking back in hindsight, realising the error of his ways and that he was very much impulsive and foolish in making that rash decision that ultimately destroys his life. And then it starts to look at why he did it, and we obviously find out that he just wanted to do it to be adored and idolised, not because of, you know, being brave and helping out his fellow man in the country. So tomorrow we're looking at stanza 5. If you haven't done so, please like and join my Facebook and Aim Higher pages on YouTube. And these are the links to the Google Classroom if you're not on there. And all the worksheets that I'm putting on the poem and everything else is on that. If you would like to say thank you, then please send me a little pound or two to that address, because I'm doing all these live lessons out of the goodness of my heart, and hopefully you'll be enjoying them for a while to come. Okay, thanks very much for tuning in.